Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the IMI webinar on our exciting new e-learning platform and content offer, which we hope will add some value for everyone on the call. We have about 200 people booked in to have a look at the new offer, which we're really excited about. So hopefully the next few slides will sort of bring that to life for you and show you what we have to offer in the very near future. So introducing the team, you have me for your sins, talking about why the partnerships come around and what this new offer is designed to do. As I said, we're really excited by the collaboration. And then after a short piece on the collaboration and the new offer from a strategic perspective, Chris will take us through the more exciting bit, I guess, around what the actual product and offer and collaboration will look like, and hopefully it will add value, as I said, in many, many different ways. So just a piece of admin and housekeeping first. The lovely Georgia is working behind the scenes to do some trickery with the IT, which is good. During the session, we'd ask you to put some questions on the Q&A functionality, if possible, and we'll endeavour through the period of the 45 minutes to answer what we can. And what we can't answer, we will get to you post-event and be able to answer them then. Georgia's also going to record the webinar, so what that will do for us, hopefully, is a reference point for yourselves as an aide-memoire, but also be useful for your wider teams. So the agenda, we're going to run through the partnership and background, why this is the evolution of learning from an IMI perspective, working with all of our partners. And then Chris will run through some of the benefits for teachers, students, or anyone who wants to learn, and the phased launch for different types of activity that we'll make available, because the breadth of offer will be quite significant, as you will see shortly. And then the content will be available, and a brief demonstration of our platform, so that you can really get to grips with what it looks like and how that might work for you. So why the VOCANTO partnership? Well, as with many things in life, if we come together, two things coming together can give greater flexibility and value. So the intended collaboration is about really how IMI can lead the way with the international piece around qualifications as well as e-learning. So we have quite a lot of respect in markets outside of the UK, but really the starting place for us is the UK market. So looking forward to some of your feedback once you've had a chance to see it. So the expertise and investment that we're able to push forward with the new offer is immense. So the VOCANTO team are exceptionally skilled and talented people that will enable us to keep the platform up and running and make it workable for today, but also tomorrow. So something we can all grow into. So the combined offer of IMI and VOCANTO coming together, and its sister business, Lucas Nuller, that some of you have already aware of, that gives us a complete end-to-end solution for our partners to opt in, opt out, or take the whole thing, basically. So if we was to lay that across something like electric vehicle, we'll be able to offer the learning inputs, keep them up to date with new content, fresh content, and that content with this new platform can come really quickly. So there's another win there to be had around the speed at which we can get material to you guys. So that's really important. But the end-to-end solution, as you know, doesn't stop there. IMI look to improve teacher, trainer, and assessor capability and knowledge through qualifications, and then the learners' qualifications at all levels to suit their career progression and the business need. But beyond that, we're also looking at solutions with Lucas Nuller around safe learning environments for electric vehicle, and also into tech safe. And those of you that have been close to the IMI over the last 2 years know that the tech safe campaign is really starting to gain some traction, and working with our industry partners, we're really pleased that we've got the solution for membership, professional registration and tech safe recognition to that end. So the end-to-end solution is there, even when it comes to CPD models and keeping everyone up to date once they're qualified. We have a huge mountain to climb in the UK market. Only 5% of technicians are qualified at this point in time. So all of these solutions really make a difference. In addition to that, the partnership will help us across borders, time zones and multiple languages, which is a functionality we haven't got at the moment with our existing offer. So we're really excited by that opportunity, and we're already starting to work with governments and partners around the world to that end. But this is part of that solution. E-learning, as we know, is only one part of the jigsaw, for want of a better word, but it's an important part for us to reach over different time zones and languages. And I think we've all learned over the last year, the pandemic situation has really accelerated the need for businesses to get online, for our training partners to keep learners moving forward. It's absolutely critical in the present climate, but it is an accelerator of what was going to happen anyway. So we know a lot of the vehicle manufacturers are already looking for the 80-20 kind of rule, 80% online to get efficiencies, less downtime for productives, and also find other solutions to crossing borders themselves. So the pandemic solution is here. And I think those businesses that aren't digitalizing and that aren't engaging in these sort of solutions are going to find it difficult in the present climate. So we really do think this is a great solution moving forward. So it is about supporting our approved centres and our members around the world. So the team here have been responding with partners to the rapid shift in technology and the need for up-to-date learning material. This is not going to slow up, it's just going to accelerate. So today we're talking about electric vehicle, new powertrains will come in. So when we talk about energy sources like hydrogen, all of that will need to feature. And it's really important, a critical piece in the education sector is keeping teachers, trainers and assessors up to date in the first instance, but also giving them the tools so that they can work with young learners and adult learners to satisfy their downstream customers, whether that's an individual or a business. Critical to the IMI's purpose in life is also to support our members, and we can't support members' career progression and keeping them up to date if we haven't got these sort of solutions. So that's kind of just a flavour of why we've moved into this partnership and collaboration with VOCANTO. It's exciting times. Really pleased we can share this with you now, and I'll hand over to Chris to give you a bit more of an update into exactly what it looks like.
Excellent, thank you very much, Steve, and good afternoon, everybody. I'll be taking you through the next section, which will include a live demonstration. So I briefed my 2 young boys who I'm homeschooling today to not use the internet for the next hour, so fingers crossed my bandwidth is sufficient to be able to do what I need to do with you guys today. We are going to launch in 2 different phases with this VOCANTO IMI e-learning solution. Phase 1, which will be towards the end of March this year, so imminent launch, exact dates to be confirmed, will be a license model aimed at training providers and businesses that want to buy a license to distribute in bulk to lots of learners, staff, individuals. So it will be a provider typically or a business investing in an annual license for platform access for their staff, and then purchasing individual redeem codes for the learners that they need access, and they'll redeem a code and access will be via an IMI account, so their My IMI account. we've been working very hard with the VOCANTO team to integrate their platform into ours. So in terms of a user journey or a customer journey, they will not need to leave the IMI website to be able to access and interact with all of this content. That's been very important to the development work in the background. Redeem codes in phase 1 will be available for all of the EV content on its own, or all of the EV content and all of the light vehicle content combined. And what I'll talk you through over the next 10 minutes or so will be the breadth of the content that we'll be going to market with in phase 1. Following that, phase 2 launch will include individual modules. So we'll break the content down to provide modular access. And these will be available for individuals, members, or individuals who aren't members of the IMI, anybody to interact through with our website in a click and pay scenario, or large organizations who want to pick and mix modules to meet specific development needs for their staff. Once again, when you've picked the selection of modules you want, the access to those modules will be via a redeem code and accessed via an individual's own My IMI account. So what content is available for EV? Significant amount, actually. There are 12 different subject areas and 65 individual lesson modules within those 12 different subject areas, and they are broken down as follows. So the first topic group is Introduction to Electric and Hybrid Vehicles, and the 2 subject areas within that are Introduction, Types of Electric Vehicles, and you can see on the right-hand side the amount of individual lessons for each of those different subject areas. So 2 Introduction, 12 for Types of Electric Vehicles. The next topic group is Safe Working Practices, Tools and Equipment, with 3 subjects sitting within that: General Safety Precautions, 2 lessons; Isolation of Electric Vehicles, 6 lessons; Tools and Equipment, 3 lessons. We then have a topic group called EV Technology and Components, with 4 subject areas sitting within that: Electric Motors, High Voltage Components, Electric and Hybrid Vehicle Construction, and Other Vehicle Systems, with the volume of lessons within each of those areas on the right-hand side. And the final topic group for electric vehicle is EV batteries and charging, with 2 subject areas: HV battery types and charging, and the corresponding amount of lessons. So 65 lessons across a big breadth of content for electric and hybrid vehicles, which is very relevant of the time and very much in demand at the moment. Aside from that, there is a huge body of content available for light vehicle technologies. I haven't gone into the same level of detail for light vehicle because I'd be here all day going through it, but I will show you later is just a short 40-second video of what it looks like in the system, the hierarchy of folders, how it's broken down, and how it would be accessed by a learner. So I will show you that in a short while. So the 6 topic groups for light vehicle content is electrical, engine, transmission, aircon, chassis, and foundation units. You can see the amount of different subject areas sit within that, and the sheer volume of lessons, individual lesson modules that sit underneath those 6 groups. So it's a significant amount of content that we'll be launching within phase 1. And clearly we'll be breaking these down into individual modules for phase 2 also, as well as the EV content. So what does the platform look like? So I'm going to be brave and do a live demonstration in the webinar. I'm very much hoping my boys have listened to me and aren't playing the Xbox at the moment. So I'm going to exit the PowerPoint, go into my web browser. If you see me looking to the left, it's because I'm using 2 screens. So apologies. I am still very much paying attention. I'm just looking at my second screen here. So I mentioned earlier that access would be via redeem code. Now, for those of you who engage with our the IMI's MOT offer, it's a similar process. So a member of staff, a trainer, or a learner would be provided with an access code. And to redeem the code, they go to the IMI Redeemer Code landing page, input their code, click the Redeem Code button. And if they already have a My IMI account, then they will be asked to log in with their email address and password. If they don't, they've got an opportunity to create one. And once they've accessed their My IMI account, they'll be able to scroll down and go to the courses area, and access to their content will be under the booked courses section. So the content I'm going to show you now live is what we've created to trial the product. So we've got various different customer types, training providers, colleges, individuals, members, you know, all accessing a small selection of content to help inform how we operationalize, improve the customer journey, make it as user-friendly as possible. So the access I'm going to show you now is the same as what the pilot organizations have had. So if I was to click into it, this is what you'd see. You see your dashboard. If I go into the menu system here, from here I can update my profile, I can put a picture, I can see the progress that I'm making within the system. And gamification is something that's built into the system. You'll notice that as we click through various different screens, you'll see XP points, so experience points, and also medals attributed to my progress. So if I was to do a learning unit and I got a few of the questions wrong en route to passing it, I may be given a bronze medal, but I've always got the opportunity to restart that to either improve to a silver or a gold and retry as many times as I want to maximize my XP points and the amount of medals. Research has shown that that type of gamification really does encourage people to revisit modules and to do the very best that they can within the learning environment. We've also got learning groups, access to learning groups here, and I'll talk about those in a second. And underneath the My Training tab is the content that's available to them via the redeem code that they've had access to. So if you've purchased a license for all the EV and all the light vehicle content, then that would be sitting there ready to access. When we come to the main dashboard area, it's quite plain to begin with, but as the individual interacts with the content, creates groups or is given access to various different groups, then that page will become more populated as they interact with it. In terms of groups, if I'm a trainer, for example, I can click the Create a New Group tab for as many of the cohorts of learners, the groups of learners I'm responsible for. When the learners have redeemed their codes, that they'll be there for me to put into groups, and also then I can assign different work to those different learner groups. Now that can be utilized either in a training environment, so it's the content of the day while they're with you being trained, or it can be given to them as distance learning, so keep their learning going between blocks of learning or day release. So that's really, really flexible. Also, the learners themselves can create groups, so if they want to buddy up with people within their class to create small study groups, then they can do that. They can share content, they can work on things together. So the group scenario is a very good feature of this platform. Along the top, you'll notice a search icon. So rather than accessing the menu system, if you search for a keyword like batteries or aircon, it will bring up all the content relating to the keyword that you've searched for. Also here, you'll notice that there's an image of a camera to scan a QR code. Now that's a really cool feature that I'm going to come on to in a little while. So when we interact with the content, I'm going to click on the pilot project, and you'll notice that I've got the two different product groups, so EV and light vehicle, and within each of these there's just a very small amount of content that's being made available for pilot. So if I click into EV, you'll notice there are 3 different lessons here. I'm going to click on drive configurations and hybrid types for the purpose of this demonstration. You'll notice that I've interacted with some of this already. I've got 21 out of the 80 experience points that are on hand for these lessons. And you'll notice that I've answered 7 questions out of the 16 questions which are within this section. And at the minute, I've got some of those right and some of those wrong. And you'll notice that when I hover over that line, a box pops up. It tells me how many correct answers I've got so far, how many of those, how many wrong answers as well, and how many average attempts it's taken me per question to get those right. So it really does give you some data to be competitive with yourself to try and improve your scores. You can either continue from where you left off, or if you want, you can restart to try and improve your XP points and your scores. I'm going to hit continue just to show you what a learning screen looks like. You always have the subject area at the top. On the left-hand side of here, look, you can click that drop down to see how how many lessons within this subject, and you can shortcut to those lessons from that point. We always have on the left-hand side some instructions, some learning, some text to read, and then in the middle there will either be an image, an animation, a video clip, something to interact with, something to do an activity or some description. At the bottom, there's either some instructions to click this first, then click that, or there's a question. If it's a question and there's a circle, that means it's multiple choice, so there's one answer that's correct. Or if, and I go to the middle one, for example, the box is a square, it means that's a multiple selection, so it's more than one answer is required to get it correct. I'm just going to come back out of that and then go into the light vehicle content, where I'm going to show you some differences. So you'll notice that in the light vehicle content here, we've got 2 learning units and 1 practical exercise. So this is another cool feature of the system as well. I'm going to just show you some of the 3D animations that exist within the motors element here. So I'm going to click restart. So I'm going to go right back to the beginning. So you'll notice that when it's loaded, there'll be a 3D animation, text on the left-hand side to read, and that animation will start to explode. And then you'll notice these 2 icons have popped up here. So if you click the menu button down here, it shows you that that icon means that you can move the image horizontally, and it's a targeted click exercise. I'm just going to close that down. So if I drag this left and right, you can see I've got full control of the high quality animation. And then the task down here, it asks me to pick out the stator components in the order shown. So click on the housing first of all. You'll notice that I've now got a tick next to that. The stator winding, which is that element there. The laminated stator core, which is that element there. Carbon brushes, I'll scroll around to see those carbon brushes there. And finally, the terminal box there. So when you've done that, you click finished and it moves on to the next screen. So that's a good example of the interactivity that's built within the system. It swapped over the component, and once again, similar task. I'm going to go back and show you the difference between a learning unit and a practical exercise. So the practical exercise assumes that some learning units have happened prior and you're ready to do a practical task. So this one's entitled When Air Conditioning is Not Working Properly. So you'll notice that we've got a realistic scenario here. So there's a customer that's got a fault with the vehicle and you've got a workshop order, so a job card. And then I've got a task. So first, before I bring the car in, I've got to make the preparations needed for diagnostics, perform the tasks in sequence. So I've got to open the workshop door, the car comes in, find the air conditioning machine, and open the bonnet. Click finished, it moves on to the next task, which is to perform the listed tasks in order. Click on the engine compartment's right side. You'll see it zoom in, find the high pressure connection. You get the picture. So it's real high quality 3D animations. So that's effectively a live practical task within the system. I mentioned QR codes earlier. Every single lesson has got its own unique QR code. So you click on the QR code element. This is manna from heaven for a trainer. I've been there and done that, so I speak from experience. What you can do with these QR codes is you can print them off onto a label and stick them to an individual component. So for example, if you're talking about high voltage batteries or motors or air conditioning components or whatever the subject might be, you can have in your workshop area the components laid out, or even bring them into the classroom. You can stick QR codes on them and the learners can access the system. Remember, we've got a scan a QR code option from their dashboard. So they can scan the QR code on the component and go directly to the learning unit for that particular component. So it's really powerful, directed, really engaging learning. They can also be exported as a link. So if you wanted to email some learners links to various different lessons of learning that are relevant for the next time they're in, as revision from previous lessons, for example, there's an awful lot that can be done with that, and that can take learners straight into the learning that they need. I'm going to move on to show you. I mentioned earlier that the breadth of light vehicle content that was available. I showed you the one slide which has got the 6 different topic groups with all the subject areas. I asked our product development team to send me a short video clip of how that's looking. That's still in development. We're still making final changes to the hierarchy and the folder structure, but it will look something like this. So Lindsay Mitchell, our product development manager, has sent me this short video. So under light vehicle content, they're the 6 topic groups that we're going to be going to market with. Click into engine, for example, engine systems, sensors and actuators. You can see all the lessons that will be available within that one particular area. Pedal position sensor, for example, you click on that and you can start the lesson relating to that. Into chassis, you can see the different subject areas within chassis. Click on steering and you can see the lessons that relate to that particular area. I think there's one more yet, foundation skills. So it's not just high-level diagnostics. There is some fundamental things like measurements, tooling, materials, properties. So in the measurements and tooling area, you've got all that content there. So as I say, it's a considerable breadth of content, real high quality, and it's a step change on what we've had available to date, and it's something that's, as Steve mentioned, is there to support what our centres are doing at the moment, help with their remote and distance learning, particularly as we're in a lockdown scenario. We know access to this type of content is super important right now. What are the next steps? Well, our product development and e-learning teams are working very hard in the background with their VOCANTO counterparts to operationalize and integrate our systems ready for a launch so that customers get a great, smooth experience from day one. We are live with pilots at the moment with various different customer types, and their feedback will provide valuable insights to make sure the operational model works for all the different customers that want to engage with it. My business development team will be, between now and when we go to launch on both phase 1 and phase 2, we'll be reaching out to organisations who register their interest following our December soft launch campaign. The vast majority of you are actually subscribed to this webinar and are probably watching right now. So thanks for registering your interest. We know who you are, and we will be making appointments with you in due course to talk specifically about your own bespoke needs. We can provide further demonstration trials. We can, of course, discuss and agree commercials with you at that point, should you want to progress, ultimately en route to providing you with the systems access that you need. We're also working closely with our Marcoms team to develop the appropriate web pages to provide customers with all the information they need via our website, and also a hard launch marketing campaign leading to when we finally commit to a date. There's a few bits of work that need to do before we can commit to that, but it's looking like end of March as a go live date, but to be confirmed on that. Watch this space. So I'm going to invite Steve to come back right now as we move into the Q&A. I can see already at the top of my screen that we've had a number of questions. So Steve, I don't know whether you've been able to look at some of those. Have you selected a few that we can talk through now? Obviously, we're not going to mention all questions. We will come back to everybody's questions. We get a report, a webinar report following it. So we will have a report with all your details on there. We can get back to you. So Steve, any questions to go through live?
Yeah, there are. And I purposely left some, rather than typing an answer live while you were talking, Chris. I've left some for, to answer in this session, really. So the one that keeps coming up, a recurring one, and we can always rely on the automotive sector looking for the best deal possible, can't we? Is the solution included in a registration? great. We would love to say yes, it is, but unfortunately it's not. However, what we would be able to do, as Chris has already alluded to, is talk to you about a combined offer. So the BD team, as we launch this, can have conversations, or prior to launch even, about what that could look like. So unfortunately, we can't do it off the price of a registration, because our registrations are already locked into you know, the cost to deliver and the cost to develop and maintain. So this is a separate solution, but very happy to have combined conversations, and hopefully that will work really well. Another one, a great one from Roddy. Would there be opportunity for the colleges and the users of the IMI VOCANTO solution to put their own content on? This has been long awaited, and I'm pleased to say not in the first phase of development, but the functionality is sitting there, and we will get that out at the earliest opportunity. So if someone engages in the license, has got learners on program, wants to use some of the core content, whether it's all of the core content or some of it, say electric vehicle, very happy to have a conversation about the use of the platform, which can be done at a fairly reasonable cost, and its functionality that most of the 50 odd businesses that offer automotive e-learning can't offer. So it's a real USP. So great question, Roddy. I don't know whether you was primed for that one, but it is one of the USPs that we'll be able to get out in phase 2 and 3 of the product launch. So that's a great question, and I'm pleased to say a great USP for this particular platform. Yeah, as I said, there was many different questions. I've answered a few on the journey. One that's very close to Chris and I's heart is the accident repair. Always feels like it's the poor relation, but just to cover that off, it will be a consideration, but will be steered by the need for the industry. So our sector advisory groups will tell us what's needed next, whether that's CPD updates, whether that's new content. Obviously, all the work that we'll be doing around trailblazers in England, apprenticeships in Scotland, we'll be looking at what we can put together as quickly as we can. One of the key features for our development team is we can put rapid content together that comes out as quality learning material. So the answer's never off the table, but our focus has to be on the shift. We've got a seismic shift as we run into 2030 and the falling over of ICE vehicles, internal combustion engines. So we need to stay focused on the core that fits everyone's need in the short to medium term. So that will be electric vehicle, new power sources like hydrogen, also the connectivity and the data and everything that goes with the connected vehicle, connected city, you know, vehicle to everything. So that will all fit the needs of the accident repair sector. But as it stands at the moment, we've got no plans this year to put accident repair together. That hurts Chris and I, because we both come from the accident repair sector, so we do understand the challenge, but that's where we are with that piece at the moment. When it comes to cost, there's lots of what's the commercials look like, what's the cost to an FE college. That's where Chris's team can come and talk to you about what the commercials look like. There's a lot to understand in that mix, what the volume looks like and what your needs are. So, you know, of the offer that stands there today, what's that look like for you? How much of the new content you'll be requiring? So there's a few questions to answer. That's a how long is a piece of string kind of question, but Chris's team is fired up and looking to support in any way we can in that regard. Can centres get access to this to trial when available, as we are currently using as we're currently using Electude? Absolutely, we can give you some trial sessions, and that's another reason to engage with Chris's team. We look to see how that works. There are a few questions coming up about the price point compared to Electude. We are pleased to say it is a cheaper but better option, as we've said, to Electude. So we really feel like we're going to be able to add value with this. You know, there's a lot of good material out there. And we also know some of our training partners have their own solutions. So this won't be a solution for everyone, but we are excited by the functionality. And when you can be live in front of it with the QR codes and the gamification and the fact that the price point's under Electude, hopefully you'll see it as a valuable shift in your thinking. Already paid a subscription for eLearning. What will that cover in new content? Again, the BDs can work with you because the old system has served us well for a period of time, but the whole platform and the content needed review. And what we were looking for here was to give you a real step change in functionality, something really engaging for the learners, something really useful for the trainers and the assessors. This is a different offer, and what we'll do is work with anyone that's got an existing e-learning offer from the IMI to see how we transition you over. And that might look different for different people, but we'll work with a business development team to do the best we can to transition people across as soon as it's available. There's a great question from Nick. Are there any plans to extend this platform to land-based engineering? At this stage, no, but again, the content as we move forward, land-based is moving at the same pace technology-wise, so there'll be components of it that will work to support land-based, but again, that could be something we look at in the future. Part of the piloting and part of getting this early dialogue going is to help us plan for development. So whether it's accident repair, land-based, we're very open to seeing where we can go next, because we don't see this as a narrow solution. We can certainly move into that, but again, we'll be steered by the industry, the sector advisory groups on where we go next, what's most important for the sector. Fundamentally, where are the gaps? Because if someone else has got the provision, then that might take a lower priority. You know, so I was thinking about accident repair. There's people that have already got some solutions out there, and we'd absolutely be looking to add value around and in different areas. So one of the things that's poorly facilitated at the moment is things like sales, customer service. So there might be some of the soft skills piece that you'll see coming out of us, but again, we'll be steered by the sector advisory groups as to the best way forward. Chris, I don't know whether you can see some of those, if there's any you would like to comment.
Well, because I'm sharing my screen, I was reluctant to.
So well, perhaps join in at any point then. So if I read out the next one, this is from Mark. Will this replace the e-learning modules content on apprenticeships e-logbook? I found a curveball, really, the more difficult one to ask.
Well, for those that are using the IMI's e-logbook solution for light vehicle, whether that be on the auto care logbook or the light vehicle APO2 and APO3 logbooks, know that our existing platform content is built into the logbook. We've just spent an awful lot of time with our development team updating that content so that it works post the withdrawal of Flash from Adobe. That happened last week. So that content within the logbook is still fit for purpose and it's still relevant. Admittedly, it's not as engaging a platform as what we've just showed you, but that's still very much going to be integrated into the logbook solution. In time, it's up to you know, the senior managers within the product development team and the you know, other senior managers to decide whether that solution is migrated into the logbook, but there are no plans certainly in the short term to make a switch.
Great, thanks, Chris. Pete Jackson has put a couple of interesting things up. The first one is, can he get a quote? So that's not a problem. The second one is really important, really. Are there any plans to link this material to actual qualifications? And I think a great example of that is electric vehicle. Relatively, you know, we've got some miles to go when it comes to updating trainers, assessors, the sector as a whole. So the answer is yes. And in fact, because the VOCANTO content is closely linked to Lucas Müller equipment, we've even got the opportunity and we're exploring this even as we speak. We've just working with the British government on how we can take that whole combined offer to market. So the offer will link to qualifications. There is some work to do with VOCANTO to get it aligned, but what I think the development team have done a great job of is not just worry about one qualification, they're actually using tag systems so that whatever the qualification is, so let's say electric vehicle level 3, whether that's an international qualification or a UK qualification, we can tag and link so the content aligns. And if you think about the combined solution of safe learning hardware, e-learning for quality inputs, IMI qualifications, how that links into membership and tech safe recognition, and then where we go with the CPD to keep people on tech safe, we're in a fantastic place. And that really starts with electric vehicle. So the answer is yes, but I think we're coming at it in a more flexible way, so we'll be more reactive. So when we change a qualification, instead of having to redo the back office piece around the whole e-learning offer, we'll be able to react quickly and tag to the appropriate learning material. Just looking through a few others. Is there any material covering ADAS? From Peter Leach. Great question. It's really important now. We know with the insurers mandating ADAS and qualified people, the answer is yes, there is content on ADAS, and that will grow and grow pretty quickly, because as we move to the different levels of autonomy, it will go way beyond ADAS, and that's another beauty of the partnership, where the system can be very reactive to whatever we need, but the IMI development team can work with VOCANTO to develop these new modules pretty quickly as they evolve, as the technology evolves into the different levels of autonomy. So hopefully that answers that question, Pete.
I think we're almost there in terms of time, Steve. I can see that there's over 25 questions sitting there. I think, Steve, we'll probably about wrap up now, if that's okay. Just conscious of keeping to time. And, you know, like I said earlier, we do get a report of all the questions, and everybody that has asked a question, we'll ensure you get an answer over the coming days if we haven't answered it live already. So, yeah, well, thank you so much for taking time out to come and watch this webinar. Hopefully you've found it interesting, beneficial, and has got you excited for what the future could be. And has probably given you some options for solutions for you and your learners or staff if you're a business that's watching this. So yeah, thanks from me. Steve, any final words?
No, just really excited by the new offer. Looking forward to the feedback we get in the early weeks as we bring it to market. And as I said, you know, what it looks like in phase 1 will be different in phase 2. And then we can, you know, really work with our partners to understand what we need next, and what's working for them and what's not. So delighted to be able to give the first taste of what's to come, and we'll make sure that we keep you up to date with the developments as we go forward and launch the product. Thanks everyone. Really appreciate your time, and hopefully that's been helpful.
Thanks everybody. Bye-bye. See you all soon.
Bye everyone.